races. The Char get different fur patterns, and the Sylvans, they get also, different kinds of patterns that you normally don't have to deal with. But beyond that, you get different body types now, whereas before it was just height, kind of, and then you get to choose your dyes for your basic clothes.
Yeah, and that's what awesome. Yeah, before, like we've seen, anyone who's played Guild Wars, those who haven't, yeah, it was basic. You chose a face, you chose a hairstyle, you chose some colors that didn't mean a thing, and that was it. You didn't even get your face was just a regular face style, and they were set. Like, when they came out with factions, it was Asian people. I mean, they were kind of very specific to their expansion piece, and this time it looks like they're going quite a bit bigger, which is pretty nice to see. So let's look at the next part of it, because the character customization actually goes to another step into the armor. So let's take a look at that real quick.
Also, here's an example of our die system in character creation. These are the starting set of dies that you will have when you're in character creation. One of the cool things about our character die system is once you set up the schema for how the dies appear on your armor, as you receive new equipment in the game, our Guild Wars 2 will remember the schema that you set up and go ahead and try to apply that schema to your new equipment. So you'll always be looking in a very similar vein to whatever appearance you set up initially. You can always change this on the fly if you want, but you'll never look like somebody who just assembled a bunch of random colored equipment as you level up through the game.
All right, so, like I was saying, in the original Guild Wars, when we played it, you selected some colors for your starting armor, but it was your starting armor, and there was like 6 options, and 3 of them looked the same. So we get now into this, and we've got a whole bigger situation, right? So what do you think of the new color system?
Actually, you probably know more than me on the color system. I did watch those videos, and I'm not exactly sure. In fact, you might want to explain it for me. Are there going to be dyes in the game anymore? I can see that you can use primary and secondary colors for your clothing, but I remember dyes are a very rare commodity before, and you could even get an economy by making custom dyes. But I see there you have a huge option of colors. Is that something that you're just granted, or how does that work?
All right, so I think what he was saying when we were looking at it was in this game, I remember when we were reading it, they had an article released on this a long time ago. You have 3 dye choices for each armor piece, and I think it's like multiple armor pieces. That stuff that you have, you can very customize it down a whole lot more than before, and 3 color choices, and it colors different parts. And the way they're talking about it in this system, in the new system that we have here, is what he was showing us, is that you select those colors in the beginning on your starting armor, and when you get a new piece of armor, it's going to try to go ahead and automatically color that new piece of armor to the color scheme that you originally chose. And you will be allowed to change that color scheme if you want to throughout the game. So if you got a specific color scheme that, say, or your entire guild's wanting to run with, you can set up your color scheme for your guild, and they can run with it. So you look around and black and white guild. I mean, they could be wearing black and white on their entire outfit, and it's not. I guess looking at this is the actual dyes in the game aren't going to play as big of a part as money makers as they did in Guild Wars, but maybe they have some special dyes. Maybe there's a rainbow dye that's going to be out there randomly that you can get. You can play Rainbow Dye Man and run around in sparkly colors. So.
Well, it's definitely an interesting change. I remember I had made tons of money using dyes before in the original game, but I think I will be able to live with this change made.
Yeah. All right, so it is pretty good. That's a dye system. We don't need to go into too much on it, so let's move on. We're going to jump into look a little bit at the Char character customization and the differences that brings about for us.
All right. Since we've already demonstrated the human starting experience, we're going to go ahead and demonstrate now the Char starting experience. Okay. We'll go ahead and choose one of our new professions, the engineer, and we'll demonstrate some of the basics of the Char appearance. Here you see the Char have an opportunity to look like leopards or tigers. We'll go ahead and make the baddest looking Char we can. Let's give him, an interesting hairdo and some fierce looking horns. All right. So for those of you who remember the first game, the Char were the enemies of humans, and they still don't get along completely with the humans. But interestingly enough, the Char have proven to be one of the most demanded player races in our game, and they're definitely going to be one of the most iconic. So we'll go ahead and outfit our Char. Earlier I talked about this notion of personal story, and one of the ways we demonstrated here is our biography system. Biography system has people go ahead and make choices about your background, your backstory, your personality traits. Here, for example, the Legion that the Char belong to is very important to them. Here we'll go ahead, because we've chosen an engineer, we'll go into the Iron Legion, which is more around technology and machinery. Now here's an example of how the choices you make in Guild Wars 2 really matter. The war band is the unit in which the Char kind of grow up in. It's more important to them than family. These are the ones they grow up with. These are the other Char that they train with. And so here we're asking you, in your war band, who do you have a special relationship? Who is the closest member of your war band? By choosing one of these characters, and as we go over them, you'll see there's a little bit of description underneath. They each have a different personality. But by choosing which of these warband members you are closest to will determine at the end of your tutorial which warband member survives and which one dies. And that story choice will continue to feed you, the rest of your story through as you progress through the game. So we'll go ahead and choose Maverick here. And this is an option that allows you to choose who, a little bit about your Char parentage. We go ahead and make a selection here.
All right, so first I just want to make a quick comment. If you noticed, anyone watching, you noticed that the Char actually has their own customization system regarding the horns, the fur, and everything, so it's kind of more unique. I mean, I guess you have to. What are they going to do? Make the Char have skin options? So you've got your fur, different types of fur, your horn, and so you can make your Char look like just a mean person out there. I guess I don't know if you can make a pretty Char or not. I guess there's a female option Char, and they can look like. Yeah, I'm not sure how pretty it's gonna be. It's like trying to make an orc and a female orc in a game look good or something. I guess. But aside from that, we got into and saw a bit on the personal story, and I think this is really interesting because right now, and I looked in chat and saw Soul Stitch talking about it, and SWTOR is all about their personal story. It's BioWare. BioWare is always about personal story. And looking at Guild Wars 2, they haven't talked too much about it. They haven't focused on it very much. It's one of their key points on their website, actually. But there hasn't been a whole lot about it. It hasn't been a whole lot about Guild Wars 2 to begin with. But in Guild Wars, we knew that we all started out in the same area. We all started out with the same story. And even Guild Wars at the time, 6 years ago, was very big on story. So now we're getting into very much. You're choosing your war band that you go with in the Char. You're choosing who your friend is, who your favorite friend is. You have to choose your friend in Guild Wars 2. Isn't that awesome? I guess your sparring partner is what they called it in that. I guess it's different for each one. And you chose even your parentage. Like, you partially chose your parentage. I'm not really sure what effect that's going to play, but obviously parentage is going to have some kind of effect in the game at some point. Who knows? Maybe you run in, you got to choose between your sparring partner or your parents, and you got to let one of them die or the other live. I don't know. So what do you think about this whole personal story thing that they are bringing into Guild Wars 2, and how big do you think it's actually going to play?
Well, I don't know how it's going to play out as in, towards affecting the later game, but I can definitely see it strongly affecting your first opinion on what the game's going to be like. Playing through an epic storyline that has great content, and it's just covered so well, and it's just a unique experience that you can share with other members. Like, if you were Char, you group up with other Char members and get the whole Char experience. Like we've seen in the trailer, there was a Baron fight. And that's something that now everyone will get access to immediately, and it just kind of brings a sense of uniqueness to the game that they previously didn't have had, because everyone went to Ascalon and everyone went through everything, the Searing. That all happened for everybody, but this is something different for each character.
Yeah, so yeah, we definitely have a more personal feeling for your person. So you can go in, and I think this one thing this is going to be very good. It's going to make people want to play multiple characters. What does
I agree
this?
on that.
Yeah, what does this like? What does this race do? What is their starting story? If I had chosen this, what would happen here? So it's going to allow a whole lot more the buzzword dynamic event into the game, and your character alone. Your character is going to be very dynamic, in a sense. But you started talking about the starting zone being different, and everyone started in pre-searing in Guild Wars 1, and here every race seems to have their own starting zone. And funny enough, as we know, the chart which you're going to look at here, starting zone is in Ascalon, where the pre-searing took place. I guess they currently run themselves in it. So let's jump on over to that and take a look at it.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and start the starting experience. And we can talk a little bit about the combat. If you're not already familiar with Guild Wars 2 combat, we definitely wanted it to feel a lot more action-oriented. So again, you're looking and seeing what's going on in front of you instead of what's happening in your UI. One of the things that we enable in Guild Wars 2 is dodging, the ability to actually evade oncoming attacks and projectiles. Can you go ahead and dodge for me? There you go. All right. And we'll see later on in this demo that that Elijah will be using that a lot more. If you're familiar with Guild Wars 2 skill system, one of the things you'll notice down here in the skill bar is that we changed the way you acquire skills in the game. It is actually now based on weapon usage, and as Elijah uses his blunderbuss more and more, his second skill starts to become unlocked. And that will happen all the way through the first 5 skills. We really felt that providing this kind of skill acquisition system gave players a lot more feeling of ownership and investment in how they build up the skills they have access to. So he's just gone ahead and realized and unlocked his second skill, the net shot. One of the cool things about the engineer profession is that they have all sorts of gadgets and abilities that were maybe not considered typical of a fantasy game. We did feel that adding a profession like the engineer kind of freshened up the way combat works in an MMO. You want to go ahead and use your net gun? There you go. That's not something you'd see in a lot of other MMOs. Okay. All right. All right, go ahead. Let's go ahead and move forward with the rest of the starter experience.
All right, so this is obviously the starting area. It looks like for the char. It looks like it's the very beginning. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. I skipped some of it, and he popped up, talked to somebody, went on, and started walking around, shooting people. But it excites me. I've gotten so tired of these tab target games that have been coming out. And don't get me wrong, the WoW, the Rift, the SWTOR, they're all going to be great. The SWTOR is going to be great games. Rift is going to maintain its, and WoW's going to, it's got 11 million subscribers. It's not losing 11 million subscribers anytime soon. So they're great games. People enjoy them. But the tab target, I think, has gotten to a point for me who's become more action-oriented. I've just gotten kind of tiresome of it. So the fact that this game allows for a bit of difference, it's not just 1-1, 2-2, 3, I win. You can dodge abilities, you can dodge stuff. I feel like that's going to play a huge role, especially in the PvP scene. But in the PvE scene, it's going to change up a whole new type of tactics. I mean, what's your opinion on the new mechanic of the movement system and combat system?
The movement system was something I was extremely excited for, especially when it comes to PvP. The dodge, that's something totally different. It's sure you could try to dodge projectiles in Guild Wars 1. They had the zigzag pattern. If you were good enough range, you would dodge it. And the arrows are basically heat-seeking if you didn't dodge. But in this one, you literally have the option just to roll and avoid an attack. And I would apparently you can even do it to melee attackers if you see them swinging quick enough. So that is something, as a PvPer, I am extremely looking forward to. And for the new skill acquisition system, it really lets you know what kind of character you're playing and